we got into the 2022 cohort for Adenia Labs. First, and that's 300K like every month.
Oh, 300K every month.
Yes.
Na mkupata anything.
Yes. When my mom came and told me that she had been diagnosed with cancer, you just trust them and you think like, this is actually something, they're building something, you see this code and you think it works, but the code was never tested.
Welcome back to another episode of Asoyangu Show, where we tell you African business stories. And today, I'm with a young founder. His name is Enoch. He's building a platform called Joby. This product is somewhere you can go and find a gig or any other form of employment. So Enoch, karibu sana to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So what do you do at Joby?
I'm a software engineer. I co-founded Joby and I'm currently the CTO. So essentially just build everything. And I mostly code. That's what I do.
So when did you meet with your co-founder, that is Matt?
I met Matt in Form 1. When I joined Mango High School. And then in Form 1, the day that I went to the school, I didn't know my way around the school. And so I noticed a light-skinned boy, and the first thing I noticed about him was that he had a big head. And so I asked for directions to the washroom. And then he told me here's where the washrooms are. And he told me that his name is Matthew. So that's how I met Matt. And then later on, I discovered that he was also my deca mate in the dorm. We were in the same class, and also at some point we were desk mates. And so we started being really close, and our friendship kicked on from there.
So when did you guys get the idea, of building Joby, or who came up with the idea, and how did you start it, that is, together as a team?
Well, while we were 15, Matt came to me and told me that he was having conversations with someone about the concept of having an online platform where someone would be able to order a service, let's say, from an electrician to come fix your TV or your lighting in your house, or a plumber.
What can you say is like the future of Joby, or what is your vision with what you guys are building?
Currently, the vision for Joby, like I've said, is mostly around this job life cycle. There are so many stages and there are so many details in that whole process, from the time you apply for the job, the things you need to do at the application level, and till the time when you leave that job. And for the recruiter, there are so many things that you need to do, from actually finding the people that you need to hire, the people that you need to, vetting these people and managing them until you're done with them. So currently, our main focus on Joby, that is the future. The thing that we want to achieve is to be able to fill these gaps and to provide adequate solutions and efficient solutions to make this cycle as easy as possible, so that it will be very seamless for you as a person applying for a job, or if you want to recruit anyone, it's going to be so seamless and easy for you to do it.
What do you think sets you apart from other platforms like Fiverr or even LinkedIn?
Well, one, on the mobile app, we have more jobs compared to LinkedIn, because essentially the mobile app combines all jobs from LinkedIn, Indeed, Glassdoor, BB, Google Jobs, and so many other platforms. So we have a very large pool of jobs on our app, and we also provide generative AI tools to generate resumes, generate cover letters, introduction emails. And so we have very specific features that you normally wouldn't find on these platforms. And also, on top of that, we're not just catering for people applying for jobs. We're also providing software for recruiters to vet and run background checks on the people they're hiring. And so we are covering both ends of this spectrum. It's not just about catering for people who are applying for jobs. We want to ensure that the entire cycle is covered. Matt was able to raise investment from Adenia Labs while I was still in school.
So how did he go about getting the investment? How did he apply for it, or how did he get the idea about it?
He went to a live pitch, and he was pitching to sort of a panel There was the CEO of Adenia Labs and a few other guys. So he was there pitching. At the time, I think he was still 17, but he told them he was 18. And so I remember there was a video actually of the pitch he did, and the guys were so shocked when he said he was 18. And so it was mostly just a live pitch. He was talking in front of a panel of investors, and so we were able to get funding from Adenia Labs after the pitch.
So how much was the funding, or how much funding did you guys get?
I prefer not to say the number.
So was it above, like, 1 million?
Yes, it was above 1
Was
million.
it above 2?
Around there.
Oh, so it was around 2.
Yes.
Okay, interesting.
When I finished high school in April 2022, and then at that time we had an office. We had office space at Adenia Labs. We had a team.
So let's go back a little bit. So when you guys, like, after you go, that is after he did the pitching, kwenye alikuwa anasema he's 18. What happened after that? Like, tupeleke through that process.
Well, Adenia Labs works with cohorts. So we got into the 2022 cohort for Adenia Labs. And so it was us and several other startups for that particular cohort. And so when you get to Adenia Labs, you get the ability to use their office space. They had 2 locations, so you get office space, you get the investment that you're to get, and you also get like technical support, people who assist you with the support and oversight as well, to be able to run your business. And then after you get to a particular point, after you've already received all the funding you're supposed to receive and you've reached a particular point, then you're required to raise another round, then you graduate from Adenia Labs. So that was how Adenia Labs worked. So when I left high school in 2022, I found that we had an office, we had a team of engineers, and so now things were kicking off. Joby we finally registered the company, and now we were feeling like we are now here. We really need to start we really need to start work and build the company. So at the time, I was mostly working on the front end side of things. I was a front end engineer back then, just front end. I still wasn't doing any back end development, and so I was working on the registration portals and the payment system that we wanted to use, the front end aspects, that is. And then we had another engineer that was working on the back end. We had an AI engineer, and we also had a UI designer. So it was a good team, or at least that's what we believed. So in that time, we had, like I've said, Adenia Labs gave us technical support. So there were 2 guys who were assisting us in like managing these developers and in code reviews and things like that. And so
let me just so for these developers, so how much were you guys paying them?
So we were spending around 300K every month paying all of them.
How many were they?
3 or 4.
Or 3 or
plus
4?
Ourselves. Yeah, I think there was a backend engineer, there was an AI engineer, there was a UI designer, and then there was me and there was Matt. So yeah, that was the team, 5 of us. Yes. So that was roughly the amount that we could spend paying these guys every month. And so that went on for a few months, up to around November 2020. That was 2022.
Yeah.
So
around 4 months or 3?
Since April.
Or since April.
Yeah.
So how many months are those? 4?
So that's like 7 months. 6.
Oh, 6.
May, June, July, till around November.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's around 6 months of building. But at that time, we realized that we had nothing.
Why is that?
There was no product.
Well, they are not milestones.
There were milestones. So we would have these online meetings where the code reviews would take place, and we would see things happening. We would see like the technical jargon being thrown around, and we were really optimistic that something was being built. And so because also the support guys were people that were older than us, they were software engineers, more experienced than us. At the time, I was just 18, so it was just easy for us to trust them and believe that they knew what they were doing and that nothing bad would happen while they were there. But around November, December, we realized that we have nothing. We've been spending money on these guys, and they have not delivered anything.
So how did you come to this realization that, like, you know, that we don't have anything, even though tuliwalipa over 300k?
First, and that's 300k like every month.
Or 300k every month.
Yes.
Na mkupata anything.
Yes. So, at that time, as time was going by, I'm also improving my technical skills. So I remember I'm getting to understand more and more about how things work. And so I started realizing that some things were not adding up, some things were not making sense. And also, in terms of how these developers were responding to us, for example, we would agree that we need something done by this time. And then when that time came, we weren't really getting the response we were expecting. We would get some feedback, yes, but it wasn't really what we were expecting.
So bad communication.
Yeah, bad communication. And so like they were sort of hiding things from us. And so we started feeling like some things are being hidden from us. I know at that time it's not like you can just pull up the code base and, even if there's some code, there's some code that's been written at that point, and you're not like that good of a programmer as you thought they were. You just trust them and you think like, this is actually something, they're building something. You see there's code and you think it works, but the code was never tested. They were just presenting code, but this code was never run to determine whether it was things were working. And so we had nothing. We just had repositories of code. Nothing was working. And there was plenty of bad communication and signs like things were being hidden from us. And so things were not feeling right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this November, that is when you realize that you guys have been paying over at least 300k
Yes.
per month.
Yes.
And now it's been 6 to 7 months.
Yeah.
And you have nothing.
Yes.
So what was your next step?
We just had to fire the entire team. We had to fire everyone, and tukabaki tu hapo with our lots of code that does nothing. And so it was a period of, okay, we feel like we've wasted a lot of money. We have nothing. And so now we're like confused. We don't know, like, it's painful. You're confused. You don't know. You don't really understand. Because at that point, you just feel played. And also you wonder, like, you had like support people to help you with this thing, and still this has happened. And so you really don't understand what's going on. You just left there shocked. And then, so it was bad for us because we felt like the company was quite literally collapsing. So around that time when Joby was collapsing, it was around that time, around December, when my mom came and told me that she had been diagnosed with cancer and it was in the later stages. And so at that time, life wasn't nice. From the business side of things, from my personal life. And so, well, my mom tried to downplay it. My mom was always someone that would downplay things that were going on in her life or in our family so that I wouldn't get too stressed up about it, so that I would like focus on my education or business and things like that. And so she had surgery in December, and I thought things would be fine after that. And so after that, I chilled a bit and I stopped. The cancer thing was not bothering me so much. And so the next year, this is 2023, from January, for the most part of the first half of the year, or in January, we got a new team. We had a fresh set of developers.
Oh, so that is from the same funding that is you guys gotten.
Yes, we still had some more funding to get from Adenia Labs, and so we got a fresh set of developers, and we thought that these guys would now help us deliver what the other team could not deliver. And so these new devs were better. We were starting to see some things. We would see some prototypes, and we would see like the app is being built. We'd start seeing the actual apps that you wanted to.
Let me just ask. So that is after the old devs when you were Tokado.
Yeah.
what were the new strategies that is you guys came up with to make sure whoever that is you guys hire now will deliver what you're paying them to deliver?
Well, at the time, first my skills had significantly improved, and so I was in a better position to judge someone's skill set and like judge whether they really know what they're doing or not. Because initially, I wouldn't say I was in that position. You just trust somebody because you hear they're an engineer, they can throw some technical jargon around and they sound smart. You just hire them. But at that time, I was in a better position to determine what this person can really do, and the interview process was a bit more involving, and so we were much more careful, and we were not just bringing in people because they sound smart or because they seem smart. So this new set of developers. They were good signs that we would actually get the products ready and we would ship. But then our funding sort of went dry, and we were no longer receiving funding at that point.
So did you run out of funding, or what happened?
No, we hadn't run out of funding. It's just that there was some internal drama going on at Adenia Labs that led to that dry spell.
Yeah.
So we hadn't gotten the full amount.
So far mlikuwa mmepata what percentage?
Let's say around 3/4 of the amount that you were to get. And so at that point, you have a team of developers. They're expecting you to pay them, and money is not coming. It's not like you have money of your own. You're not rich, and so it's tough. It was really tough because now you don't know what to tell these guys. When you fail to pay these guys, or when you're delaying their salaries, they won't go a complaint to Adenia Labs. They'll come complain to you, and like you are the problem. But it wasn't our problem. Adenia Labs weren't providing funding like they used to at that time, and so tulikuwa tunakataa kuwalipa.
Adenia Labs. So when they are giving you the funding, is it the funding from? Are they like a VC firm that is they are giving funding by investors to invest in certain startups, or ni pesa yao wenyewe?
The money comes from abroad to Adenia Labs, and then they like trickles down. So you have a fixed amount that you're supposed to get, and you get it in installments. And so by a certain time, you're supposed to have received all of your funding. And so at that time, that's what I'm saying, we had received about 3/4 of what we were to get. And so we were still to receive more installments, which we did not receive. And so at that time, we now sort of had to, we just left things off with Adenia Labs. We didn't get all the money we were to get from Adenia Labs, and we also had to kind of let the team go, but we still had to figure out a way on how we would pay those devs, because we still had debt.
So
we still had debt because we haven't paid them, and we weren't paid by Adenia Labs. So at this point, Matt and I started looking for jobs or things we could do to generate a bit of income for ourselves, to pay the devs, and just to keep ourselves going. And so it was a period of confusion for both of us. We really didn't know what the next steps for us were. So I remember I built just a simple version of Joby. It was just a website that listed all the service providers, and then someone would just come and make a booking on the platform, and then we would receive it, and then it was very manual. And so that was the platform that was live. That was Joby. This is 2023, early 2023, and so that was the platform I built just to so that we say we have a product at Joby. So that was the product we had at Joby. But it wasn't really what we wanted, and we didn't feel like we could achieve the dreams we wanted to achieve with whatever we had at that time. And so we were just trying new things. Matt was looking for jobs. On my end, I was just mostly building my technical skills and building projects here and there. And then it was in April. Okay, in April, I started developing some issues with my kidney and my urinary tract, and so I had some symptoms at the beginning. I don't know, it was mid-April, around there. So I got some treatment for about a week, and no, I didn't think it was anything serious, and so I just moved on. And just also at that time, my mom's condition, despite her having undergone surgery, her condition was sort of getting worse. But I didn't want to focus on that. I was trying to I was actively distracting myself from the fact that my mom's situation was getting worse, and I was sort of developing health problems myself. And so with coding and with development and building things, this was the way that I would sort of distract myself from all that was going on in my life at that time. And so in this process of trying new things out, and Matt was looking for jobs, I I ended up I built a mobile app that would aggregate job postings from platforms like LinkedIn, Indeed, Glassdoor. So you see, you usually have job postings scattered across all these platforms. You have job postings that you will find on LinkedIn, job postings you'll find on Indeed, Glassdoor. And so I built a mobile app that would aggregate all of them and provide them for you in one app.
So this was under jobs. No.
No. This was just my personal project. It was just a pet project. I built it for fun, and then I called it Job Finder, and then I put it on GitHub. It was just a public repository. Just wanted it to be open source. I didn't really take it seriously, and then Matt saw the app, and then he thought it was interesting, and then he thought that it would be nice to have it under Jobsy, and so he came up with the name Talent, and then so that's how Talent was born. So we rebranded the app from Job Finder to Talent, and we launched the app officially as a product of Jobsy.
Daniel loves Jopatia, that is all the money. So how did you get the funding that is to do now, that is Talent?
No, that one didn't require, I just built it myself from scratch. I built the whole thing by myself. So that one didn't require funding, it didn't require engineers. At that time, I was technically good enough to build a mobile app. And so I just built it and we just launched it, and it was mostly advertising by word of mouth, just DMing people, hey, try this app out, or just posting it on our social media platforms. So that was it was just purely, it was mostly organic. There was no money being spent on marketing or anything like that, because we didn't have money at that time. And then so the app picked up. The reception was good. We got like 500 users in the first week, and since then the app has really been growing. We're now approaching 20,000 users for the app, and so the app was a success. I didn't expect it would be that successful, but people ended up liking it. And so in that time we met, and in that time, as we were now building on Talent, we were able to meet a new investor who now invested in the company, and is our current investor. So at this time, we were trying to think about the things that maybe we learned while building Jobsy, and one of the things that came up was that for these people that were ordering services from service providers, like let's say you bring an electrician or a cleaner or a plumber into your house, you really didn't have a way of properly vetting them or doing any background checks on them. You don't know who you're bringing into your house. You don't know whether you can trust this person. You don't know if they'll steal from you. You don't know who you're dealing with. And so we realized that this was a problem that we could solve. And also we realized that the methods of doing background checks at the time were mostly slow. You would need several days to be able to run background checks on someone, and it was expensive, and it wasn't very, very efficient. And so Matt and I started talking about building background checking software that clients would use to run comprehensive background checks on their clients, people you want to work with, someone you want to employ, and so on. So this was the time around late 2023. This was the time when I started actively now building the background checking software.
While you're doing this, how is your health going on? And that is your mom's.
Things were bad, but I didn't feel it. Like I was trying to stay optimistic, and I was trying to just focus on Jobsy and believe that things would get better with my mom and with myself. I've never been someone who really focuses on like bad things in my life, and so I was never really feeling it. And then in October, October 9th, in the evening, that's when I got a call from my cousin, and then he said he wanted to talk to me about something. Then he came to my place, and he told me that my mom's situation had deteriorated, and she was in too much pain, and she passed away. And so at that time, as my emotional state and my mental state was getting worse, my kidney issues were also deteriorating. So this around November. So around November, the end of November, the pain was intensifying. I was vomiting at night. I couldn't sleep at night, and the pain was so bad. You just don't know. You just don't know whether to sleep. You don't know whether to sit. Like, it is just so uncomfortable.
Were you still bleeding? That is, while still at this condition?
Yes, I was still building at that time, and building jobs, building talent. At this time now, we were mostly focusing on the brand talent. So building talent at this time was sort of like the only thing that would take me away from my painful life in that time. And so as the pain intensified, I decided to go for some scans, and I went and did a CT scan, and then it was discovered that I had a kidney stone. But now the kidney stone had it was at an advanced. My situation was pretty advanced, because essentially I had been having the stone for about a year, but all I was being told was that you have an infection. And so my situation was worsening. And so by the time the stone was discovered, my situation was pretty advanced. At that time, I was starting to have blood infections, kidney infections, and blood infections can actually they can actually kill you. So things were bad, and sometimes I would think that maybe I would have died, but on some days I would try to be optimistic. It was a mix of emotions. On some days you feel optimistic. On some days you feel depressed and you don't know what's going to happen. Or on some other weird days, when you're doing tests with the doctor and you get very negative results, on some weird days, the negative results are exciting, were exciting to me, because I thought that, if I was going to die, then, like, all the problems would just go away. So, like, that concept of me being in a position where I would actually die was enticing to me. I've never been suicidal. I wasn't suicidal, because I've never had the thought of like taking my own life, but I was wishing that, I would be in a situation where that would happen, but not me doing it myself. And so it was a pretty dark time for me in December, especially that time, December. I didn't go home. Usually I go home for Christmas. By that time, it's the first Christmas like that's happening. I can't say I was celebrating. So it's the first Christmas that's happening without my mom being around. So it was very new. And then I wasn't with my parents because I was so much in pain. I couldn't travel back home to go be with my dad and my sister. And so January kafika, 2024 January. And then so at that time, after the kidney stone was discovered, the doctor had recommended surgery, and the surgery was pretty expensive. And so there was like some time between that time and the time I actually got the surgery, because it was like something very heavy that came down upon us, because we're just finished dealing with my mom, dealing with her treatment for almost a year, and then her death and all that. So things were really heavy for the family. And then so I eventually got surgery my surgery was eventually scheduled for March. And so between January and March, I was just in pain, waiting for the surgery. And at this time, I'm also continuing to build the background checking software. So because I wasn't able to sleep at night because of the pain. This was the time where I would actually code, because I thought like, it's not like you can sleep, you can't do anything, so just sit and code through the pain. So that was the time that I would build the background checking software. And I've built most of the background checking software in this period where I would be in pain. Sometimes I would be bleeding because the internal situation wasn't really good. So sometimes I would bleed as well.
So did you finish, that is, building the software before or after the surgery?
No, I finished building the software after the surgery. So I had my first surgery. After my first surgery, there was something that was placed inside me. It's called a stent that was placed inside me in my tract, and then I stayed with it for about a month. And so in that month, it was a very painful month because I was bleeding, and at that time, because of whatever I had inside, sitting was much difficult, was more difficult compared to previously before the surgery. And so at this time, I couldn't code at all because I couldn't sit down and code. And so in this month, I sort of took a break from coding for a while. Then I had my second surgery where now the thing was actually removed. And then after that, I still had further complications because after that, I developed another infection. And at that point, because I had used so much antibiotics, I was resistant to all drugs. And so there was no drug that would cure me except only this one drug that was pretty much not being used in the medical industry. And so it was difficult to find it. And when I found it, it was very expensive. So after I got the medication, that's when I got slightly better. And then that's when I finished building the background checking software. And then we launched it at the beginning of June. So at the beginning of June, I launched the background checking software.
So that is during the launch of when you are launching the product. So other than I know you are you're going for you had gone for the surgeries, so bado kuna some medical issues, you're still building Joby. What other source of income were you relying on?
Oh, at the time it was mostly doing like freelance work. When Joby wasn't actively bringing any income, I was mostly doing freelance work. I was also doing some trading on Binance. Matt and I used to both of us used to be active traders on Binance. We had this stint where we were like really deep into trading. I even personally took trading courses. And so I'd say at that time, it was mostly trading. I was trading Bitcoin. We didn't want our full focus to be on these side quests that we were engaging in, and so our focus was still primarily on Joby. These other things that we were doing was just to like keep us afloat.
Yeah.
So at that time when we finally launched the background checking software, I was really happy about it. I think I'd say out of everything I built at Joby, the background checking software is the thing that feels most personal to me, because I've built it through a very tough period. And so it really means a lot to me when I finally nimemaliza it's here. It really meant a lot to me. And then after the background checking software, at the time the mobile app was growing very fast, and we were also getting user feedback. And also on top of user feedback, we were doing our own research and our own observations. And we realized that on top of providing people with a platform where they can get job postings from multiple places in one interface, a lot of people don't know how to create resumes. A lot of people don't know how to write cover letters. They don't know how to write proper job application emails. And we realized that there are plenty of gaps in that whole process. And so we decided to leverage generative AI. And so we started working on integrating generative AI into the app, which we did. And so now on the app, you're able to use AI to generate resumes for you, cover letters and job application emails using your career details, the information you provide in the app, and any relevant documents such as your previous CV that you may have had or your certificates. And you're able to do this for every job application that you do, because I'd say for what for my industry, for what I know, especially in tech, and I believe it's the same in other industries. In most cases, you're likely going to need a different like a different resume for every job application tailored to whatever job you're trying to apply for. And so we enable guys to generate a resume tailored to this particular job that they want to apply for, generate a cover letter or email tailored to this particular job they're applying for. And these are the features that we added onto the app.
Yeah.
And then I also built a recruitment platform now where recruiters could now post jobs on talent.
Yeah.
through us. And so mostly what we've been doing in talent is just trying to fill all the gaps that are there in the whole life cycle of the job process, both for the person applying for the job and the people that are posting these jobs, the people that are hiring, and the people that are applying for these jobs. So that's mostly been our focus at talent as of now.
So from what you have gone through, that is from like starting these startup, that is while you're in high school, you guys getting funding, and then talk on the developers, and then not receiving the full funding, and then your mom passing away, and also your accommodation. Like, what advice can you give to people who want to start startups, that is especially in Africa?
If you want to start a company or a startup, you should just start. Don't spend too much time thinking about how you're going to do it in the most perfect way possible, or think about or needing to figure out every little thing from the beginning. You have to be ready to embark on a journey where you'll have to accept failure as a normal thing. You're going to fail so many times, and you might build something that you really love, and it will fail. And sometimes you may feel personally offended by the market because you feel that you ask yourself, why don't they like what I've built? Don't they understand what I'm trying to do here? But you have to remember that the product is not really about you. It doesn't really matter whether you like it or you don't like it. What matters is you being able to solve something that the market wants you to solve. So if it's a problem that the market wants you to solve for them, and they will be willing to pay for that solution, that's when you'll be able to now start making your way into succeeding as a company. So you have to be willing to fail a lot in the startup world.
Asante sana, and thank you for creating the time for this episode. And I wish you the best, that is in building the company.
Thank you. So if you want to know more about us, go to jobzy.africa. We have several products. The background checking software is that you'll see verify identities and documents. That's the link to the background checking software. If you want to download the Talent mobile app, click on apply for jobs. And also, I'm wearing a very nice t-shirt here. If you want to buy this t-shirt, go to buy our merch, and you'll also be able to get this t-shirt and the famous green t-shirt that a lot of people have been criticizing me about. So check us out.